Looking for a good drill to practice your consistency? Well, today we're talking about and shooting the consistency drill by Guerrilla Approach. What's going on? Luke from USA Carry here. If you're new to the channel, I do guns and gear reviews, defensive gun use breakdowns, and other firearm related content, and apparently shooting drills now. So if you like that kind of content, go ahead and hit subscribe and the like button down below. Hit the bell to be notified when we publish new videos. So a couple of weeks ago, my friend Greg Lapin invited me to his last day of a private class he was teaching to come just film and see what kind of content I could get. So I was editing it last night and they were going over this consistency drill by Guerrilla Approach, and I figured let's make this its own video. So I'm gonna cut to the private class here in a little bit, and then I'm gonna shoot this drill at the end and see how I do. All right, so for the drill itself, you're putting 1 dot in the small circles, 2 in the big circles. There's 24 rounds total. You're doing this from 3 yards, and the par time is 25 seconds. A miss is plus 1 second. And like I said, you can download this from GuerrillaApproach.com. I'll link to that in the description below. It's a free target you can download and print. So this is one of the 3 drills Greg told me he shoots at the range most of the time. This is a warm up and cool down drill, as it says. This is something to work on your accuracy, trigger control, and speed, because you're obviously gonna have to slow down for these shots and speed up for the bigger circles. And instead of me talking about it anymore, let's cut to Greg talking about it in the class. You will see some faces that are blurred. They didn't want to be on camera, so that's why their faces are blurred.
2 days now. What's been the one word that I've probably maybe mentioned more than any other words?
Consistency.
Consistency. So you guys were talking when I was demoing the torture yesterday. I heard you guys in Spanish talking about the consistency of my movements. I'm not doing anything sexy. I'm not doing anything cool. I'm doing everything with the smallest margin of error and difference every single time, right? Every time I draw, when you see me put my belt on, I have a very specific position that my belt goes on so I can just touch. If you see me before I get ready to draw, I'm just touching. I'm just touching. I'm making sure that my knuckle hits the same exact spot on my pistol every single time. I can feel if it's different, right? I hang my hands to the same exact place. My head is resting naturally inside my shoulders, right? My feet are positioned. Everything needs to be consistent. When I draw, I don't hunch over. I don't change my position. I don't squat. I'm moving the least amount I can. I'm moving my arms the least amount I can. I'm moving the least amount of body parts I can. I'm not taking a step. I'm not moving my head. I'm here. When you get the buzzer, the beep, I'm moving my hands straight up to my eyes. When I do my reloads, I'm moving my hands the same position, right? We have to build this motor mechanics into our body. We have to feel it. We have to have reference points. If you're going too fast, we revert to older habits or we get sloppy. And remember, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. So this drill is called consistency. Really, honestly, in my opinion, one of the most important things, hands down, that we can do as defensive shooters, as combative shooters, right, is build that consistency in. The more you build the consistency, your level is going to grow, right? And you're not going to build in or concrete bad habits. Make sense? So we're going to do this one at a time on the timer, just like we did last time. Yes?
Question.
Yes?
If you're using your weak hand, do you not change your feet at all?
Just like using my strong hand, situation and environment will dictate for me, right? So we talked about strong hand shooting, right? If I'm in my stance, maybe I'm behind a piece of cover, depends on the side of cover, what type of cover. I may choose to drive my hip out and drive my shoulder out where I haven't changed my feet. I may choose, maybe I'm around a concrete pillar, I may choose to step this foot out and drive. The same thing holds true for my support hand. If I'm in my stance and I have to transition on a short hand, I get injured, I gotta pick my gun up. I may just drive my hip and my shoulder out, exaggerate it more. I may not change my feet. But depending on the position, I may step forward more and drive out. The goal behind both of those things is to align my body more in line with the recoil. So if I'm here, now only this corner of my body is accepting the recoil.
Right.
Right? If I'm here, the recoil is aligning more in my torso. If I'm here, I'm driving and I'm aligning the recoil more and locking my shoulder out. It's the same thing with here or here. That answer your question?
Brilliant, thank you.
All right. So we'll stand on line. We're going to shoot this one at a time. Just as a reiteration, we start on the buzzer. Every small circle gets 1 round. Every big circle gets 2 rounds. We shoot it left to right, top to bottom. If you know you've missed completely, make that hit up. Yeah? And reload as necessary. Being an effective shooter in a high stress, combative situation requires discipline. And what I mean by that, mental discipline. We talked about on day 1, why do most people miss their target in defensive shootings? Because their sights weren't acceptable for the given target size or distance, and they still pressed the trigger because they didn't have the mental discipline to hold that fraction of a second and get the sights good enough, or press the trigger good enough, right? Good enough is good enough. Sights are acceptable for our given distance, yes. Trigger press is acceptable for our given distance, yes. At this distance, if you're shooting a silhouette, remember, our sights can be anywhere in here. We don't have to have even really good sight picture to get a center mass hit. We can slap the crap out of the trigger and still get an acceptable combat accurate hit.
Yeah.
But now we're shooting a 1-inch circle.
Yeah.
We got to imagine now we're shooting a person at 150 yards, right? So we need better sight picture. We need better trigger press. We move to the bigger circle. This circle is twice the size, actually maybe even 3 times the size. Well, guess what? Now our sight picture, our trigger press can be 3 times worse than it needs to be for these, right? So speed, accuracy, blend them consistently. Good?
Yeah.
Let's go. Come to gun ready. All right, are you ready? Yeah. Stand by. Smooth. Good. Reload. Give me one more on there. Smooth, 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 smooth. Yes. Very nice.
Yeah.
So, once we learn the fundamentals of marksmanship, once we learn proper grip, proper stance, you know, all the stuff we talked about, it's really now kind of like an internal journey of making sure that we are refining it constantly. Everything we talk about, it's got to be reliable. It's got to be tactically reliable. It's got to be consistent. And it's really more just about refining what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the 4 of us. Look at the 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
We are all different sizes and shapes and ages and athleticism. We have to have the same level of fundamentals, but then we got to tweak it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple, right? Our hands are different sizes. We're different strengths. We're different statures. So it's constantly refining it for ourselves. That was extremely smooth. Your time would have been faster because you had missed a couple and had to make them up, right? That's just a consistency thing. But you had probably one of the smoothest runs. Very concentrated, bang, bang, right? And just going down the line. It was excellent. Luke, what do you think?
Pretty good.
Not bad for
Glad
civilian.
I'm not shooting.
Not bad for civilian shooters. I told him, I warned him.
All right, well, I'm here at the range now, and I'm going to shoot this drill and see how well I do. I've shot this one other time with my Glock 48 when I was testing the Shield Arms 15-round mags. If you want to see how bad I did with it, I'll link to that up here. That was the first time shooting my Glock 48. So today I'm going to be shooting my EDC gun, Glock 19 MOS, with my Trijicon RMR. So let's see if I do any better with it, since this is the gun I'm most used to shooting. All right, so not too good at first. I wasn't happy about that first string of small dots there. I'm gonna put up another target, slow down a little bit. All right, let's try this again. I think I was just going way too fast on that first top row of small dots, so let's slow it down. Going too fast. All right, that was a little bit better. I definitely can slow down a little bit more. So let's give it another try. Going too fast. A little bit better with the bottom half, I think. A lot of those top shots took me 2 rounds to hit, and a few of them are just right there on the circle edge, so it's hard to slow down. Let's do it one more time and see if I can get any better, and then we'll wrap this up and head back to the studio. All right, I changed the camera angle a little bit so that sun isn't blasting right into the lens. I'm gonna try this my 4th and final time. Really try to slow down and get my hits. Let's see how I do. Not a good start. All right, I think I did a lot better on that first string. I really slowed down, tried to get my hits, missed a few on the bottom. Got a lot of work to do, but this is a pretty cool drill. I'm going to start doing this every time I get to the range, and if I have time, do it at the end of my range session. All right, so I'm back from the range. We're here in the new studio. I'm with Greg. Thanks for inviting me to the private class.
You're not welcome.
No, I learned a lot just even being behind the camera. Obviously, I picked up on this consistency drill, and now that I've actually shot it, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, it's like a humbler big
Right.
time. That, you know, in dot torture, and as we spoke about on the range, a lot of people go out to the range. A lot of trainers nowadays are more of, I would kind of say, are in the entertainment business than the training business. The real training that 99.999% of people need, myself including, is like the non-sexy fundamental stuff.
That stuff.
Right, that stuff. You know, they say there's no advanced skills. It's just perfect mastery of the basics, right? Sights and trigger, they don't change. And the consistency drill, which you shot in this video, as well as dot torture, which we shot that day.
Right.
I do a lot. I mean, that works that stuff big time. And you can push yourself. If it's too easy at 3 yards, go to 4 yards.
It's not too easy at 3 yards.
It's not too easy at 3 yards.
And it's, you know, it looks, you're like, it's only 3 yards away. Got a red dot. Let's do this.
Easy.
No,
Right.
it's not.
It's not. And, you know, you saw how difficult it was in your first, you know.
And I
your
thought it
first
was just
couple.
me needing to slow down, but then we looked at the footage and you're like, it's not just slowing down. You were healing, you're anticipating.
Yeah.
My trigger reset, you were talking
There's
about.
all the little nuances, you know, the invisible stuff that people don't see. It's not how cool you look or what kind of underwear you're wearing, you know, if you're wearing multicam underwear or not.
No.
All right, it's the invisible stuff. I don't wear underwear. I'm going commando, bro. That's the coolest of them all. You know, being able to apply the fundamentals of marksmanship near perfectly under stress, right? And the only way you do that is practice it perfectly a lot. And as you go through being smooth, and like we said, you said, yeah, oh man, I was going too fast. It wasn't that you're going too fast. And it's not that I want you to shoot faster, shoot slower, but I say, do the fast things fast, do the slow things slow, right?
Right.
So that means as far as like transitioning from one dot to the next dot, do it quickly. Get on your sights quickly. Now make sure your sights are good enough. Press the shot, press the trigger slowly, right? To break the shot, because with that drill you need pretty perfect trigger press.
Right.
Then reset the trigger quickly.
Which I wasn't doing.
Right? I could hear your trigger reset click. Because you're firing, bang, holding it to the rear, click, right? The bullet's already gone. Our finger's not going to beat the bullet out of the barrel, right? Our finger's not going to beat the bullet out of the trigger. And you've got to reset the trigger and preset the slack back out to be ready to fire a second shot. Right? Always be ready to fire next round. And what that's going to hone your trigger press, and that's going to make you ready to get that next shot when your sights are on the next dot. So it's just doing all the stuff in between the actual shooting faster and more efficiently.
So when you're doing that at the range, are you doing that once, twice in the beginning? What's your?
I mean, it really depends. I've got a series of different drills that I like to shoot if I'm going out and training by myself personally. Oh yeah, by the way, Sláinte.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is not coffee, by the way.
A little vodka. Mio. Tasty. Yeah, it's the afternoon. It's not the morning.
You can't. If you don't start drinking in the morning, you can't drink all day.
This is true.
And that's pure science. When I go out to the range and shoot for myself, I try to get out and do live fire twice a week.
Okay.
My goal is from the time I pull up to my range to the time I'm leaving dust trails is 1 hour.
Okay.
Because let's be realistic. We all got lives, we got jobs, we got business to run, kids, blah, blah, blah.
Shooting for an hour.
Right, well, yeah, you know. Plus, at some point, you reach diminishing returns. I go out and I will shoot the consistency drill. That one guerrilla approach. Aaron Baruga is the guy's name who runs guerrilla approach.
Once?
Yeah, I shoot it one time.
Okay.
Cold.
Right.
I shoot dot torture, which I believe you can find a dot torture PDF.
Yeah,
It's a free target.
I'll link to it below.
I think it's a Todd Lewis Green drill. I think he's the one that kind of came up with that. Dot torture once. And then a lot of times I will shoot the 500-point aggregate, which is a bullseye drill from Pat McNamara. Shoot it once, and then I pack up and I DD mount. If I do have extra time, I have a couple of drills that I do that will incorporate some moving in and out of positioning, moving into a position where I have to then pivot to acquire by target so I can start working some of my footwork, which applies to movement and CQB working inside a structure. Exactly, but you know, I don't ever do like, I shouldn't say I don't ever, but rarely do I do like all the cool guy, sexy stuff that you see on YouTube channels. Right. Running and laying in the dirt and in the mud and all that jazz. I find small targets. I make sure I have acceptable sight picture. I make sure I use acceptable trigger control, given the size of my target, my distance, and I shoot it as fast as I can hit. And that's the key, folks. When I say I want you to shoot the target as fast as you can, I don't mean shoot at the target as fast as you can. I mean actually hit the target.
Right.
Because that's the end goal.
Right.
So we got to have that mental discipline to blend that speed and accuracy.
Cool. Well, go out, download the consistency drill.
Do that.
Try it out. Let us know how you do. And you'll see us in another video.
And go join your local jiu-jitsu gym, get off your butt, and go train.
That's where we're going right now, right?
Let's go.
Yeah. Cheers.